talking college sports in the Deep South where college football is king. We want to think that the SEC conference is one of the better ones in all of college football. A lot of national championships, a lot of guys in the NFL who used to play at SEC schools. Also, the SEC West, arguably one of the more competitive conferences. We may make mention a lot about the fierce rivalries in this particular subconference of college football. And also in East Alabama, where Auburn University rests. They call this place the loveliest village on the plains, where the battle cry is War Eagle. Once again, it's Case to the GOAT for Vernon Speaks Sports. We're talking Auburn football nonstop. Go ahead and like this video. Please make a comment, because I get a lot of content from the comment section. I want to do this thing based on what you guys like to hear. And also, just as important, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, War Eagle. All right, so coming into the 2019 season, Auburn arguably has one of the more challenging schedules in all of college football. Of course, starting the season off with the Oregon Ducks, who have aspirations of winning their first Pac-12 title since 2014, have a potential dark horse Heisman Trophy candidate in Justin Herbert. Also, one of the top recruits in the country, Kayvon Thibodeau, will be active on the defense. He played defensive end in high school. Also, looking at the return of Troy Dye, I think that's probably one of the best returnees for the Oregon Ducks. Similar to Auburn having Derek Brown back, you could tell based on the spring game how much his teammates were appreciative of his return. That's going to be a very tough ball game in Arlington, Texas. It's going to be very important that Auburn goes ahead and, of course, they've narrowed the quarterback battle down to two guys, Joey Gatewood and Bo Nix, which will give a lot more surety, so to speak, going into the summer practices. That's going to definitely be a tough game for the Auburn Tigers. Oregon is a very physical team, a lot more like an SEC opponent than I thought of prior. And as you continue to look at the schedule and you look at different items, you got the two games against Tulane and Kent State. Now, this is something that Auburn has to improve on, is go ahead and putting these types of teams away. With all that Auburn has ahead, they have no room to struggle with teams like this. This needs to be a game that's well in hand by halftime. You get some reserves going and move on to the next week. Also solidify some execution with your new quarterback, whoever it may be, and move on. This does not need to be a game where you have to pull out all the stops in the playbook to pull this game off. Kind of similar to, say, the Jacksonville State game back in 2015. You just don't have room to struggle with these teams, when you think about how difficult Auburn's schedule is. Then you talk about the middle of the season where you have Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and Florida. These are all winnable games for Auburn, in my honest opinion. One thing Auburn has to lean on during this little stretch is their experience. Auburn has a wealth of experience coming back, especially we talked about Derek Brown's return, Jeremiah Denson. All of these guys have had big game, high consequence game experience. I think that Washington game from last year is going to prove very beneficial for the Auburn Tigers, because they had a chance to, play a non-conference game, Power 5 team in a neutral site, and had to, kind of go through some adversity to win that game. And that wealth of experience really helps as you get into the meat of an SEC schedule like Auburn has. And of course, you have the game against LSU, which looms as well. Probably, given the outcomes of the teams results-wise, probably going to be one of the top billed games of that weekend. And then, of course, you have the late season battles with Alabama and Georgia. One thing that Auburn is going to have to look at is, in order to improve the outcomes in this game, for the last few years when Auburn has actually lost these two games, it's just been mainly due to either turnovers, lack of offensive production. You talk about last year surrendering 500 yards against both of these teams. Also, just really not helping the defense out with time of possession or with third down scoring. So it's just, just been kind of tough for Auburn in these games against Alabama and Georgia. for the last few years, although Auburn sandwiching in a win in 2017 over Georgia and Alabama. So this is going to be an interesting season. Auburn definitely has to take advantage of opportunities, win the winnable games. If you're up by 3 touchdowns against a team like, let's just say Florida, for example, and it's plausible to say that could happen given how explosive Auburn should be on offense, but you have to take advantage. It can't be a situation like in Death Valley a few years ago where Auburn is up, by 20 points and then they lose the game. You can't lose games like that. That's how you go from having a possible 10-2 season to an 8-5 season. The 8-5 seasons are just absolutely unnecessary for a team this talented. All right, guys, let me know in the comment section what you think about this Auburn schedule. I think it's something that Auburn can navigate. It's very unlikely just at the surface that Auburn goes undefeated in a schedule like this, but you definitely have to take advantage of opportunities. And then one thing I want to note as well is Auburn can't wait as they have in the past. Well, not wait, but Auburn has to click on offense a lot faster than mid-season, because looking back at 2013, we really didn't know how good Nick Marshall really was until the Texas A&M game. So things have to get clicking a little bit quicker for the Auburn Tigers so that they can already have that solidarity going into the October stretch. Like I said before, comment on this video. We want to know your thoughts. Like the video and also subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports of Auburn. Until next time, guys, War Eagle.